What's up, guys? So real quick before we get into the video, I wanted to show you the shirts that I'm working on. Working on getting a bunch of these made. Got my free bets thing on the back. And next up, I want to tell y'all about a contest I'm going to do on on this video, the UFC 288 video. If y'all want to try and win, we got a Demetrius Johnson. Got a Holly Holm. I've got a Donald Cerrone. No, it's glaring. You can't see it very well, but and then I've got a signed UFC glove signed by Killer Miller. And if y'all want a chance to win one of those, obviously like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. And the contest is going to be this. So you got to pick 3 winners. The round and the method of victory, and you only get 1 decision, so 2 of them have to be the round and the method of victory other than decision, knockout or submission. And I'll turn the comments off on that the day of the fights, and we'll see if anybody can get the win, man. And I just thought it'd be something cool for you guys, and yeah, that's all, man. So let's get into the video. What's up, guys? We're here to go over UFC 288, Sterling versus Cejudo. First off, please like and subscribe. This show's available on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, iTunes, Rumble, all that stuff. And my Instagram is highkick_fightpics. If there's any bets or anything that I add, or you don't want to watch the video, you just want to see the picks and the bets, you can go to my Instagram and you can see it all there. Anything I add after the video will be added on there, so that's where you can find all that at. Please don't forget to check out Chris Lytle's podcast. He was nice enough to do an interview with me. He's a really cool guy. I consider him a friend. The Lights Out podcast is a very good show, so I don't get paid to do that. I just enjoy the show, and I want other people to as well. So yeah, we're coming off UFC Vegas, what was it, 71? Or 72, whatever, Pavlovich versus Blades. And yeah, I made a little bit of money. Overall, I picked 7 of the 11 fights correct. And yeah, I was there was a couple of picks, man, that I was really leaning towards that I didn't go with, and I wish I had because they ended up winning. But as far as my bets go, my posted bets, I had 2 of those hit. And I had a couple of parlays hit. I had a play on Jeremiah Wells that hit. I had a Wells versus Green, or Wells and Green 2-man parlay. Obviously, they didn't pay me for the Bobby Green part of the parlay. I know some books screw people on that, but the ones I use, the Green just dropped off, and I just got paid for the Wells part of the parlay. So that's how the books do it with a draw or whatever. The ones I use, I don't know about all. I've heard people getting screwed over by other books, so. And then I had a Lucindo, Wells, Sergey Pavlovich 3-person parlay. That's not one that I posted. That's one I made right before the fight started, and that hit. And I had a play on Francis Marshall that didn't hit. I had another, like a small, like 4 or 5 fight parlay with him in it that didn't hit because of him. And I'd have a ongoing parlay still right now. Let me pull it up so I can tell y'all what it is. So I had Wells, Lucindo, Bobby Green. Obviously, Bobby Green will get, that won't count. But I've got 3 more fights on the upcoming card. The Simone versus Song card. Charles Johnson, Natan Levy, and Martin Bidet on there. So if those 3 people hit or win, this parlay will hit next week or this weekend. So what else? Yeah, let's get started on this card, man. First up, we got Parker Porter taking on Braxton Smith. And Parker Porter is 38 years old. He's 6 foot tall with a 75-inch reach. He is 13-8 and 3-3 in the UFC. Parker, he doesn't have super big power for a heavyweight, and his striking is pretty good. It's not great, but it's pretty good. And his advantage in this fight will possibly be if he can get a takedown and win the fight. But I'm not so sure he's going to be able to do that against Braxton. But if Braxton touches him, man, he's out of there. I mean, this guy hits hard, and I really wish there was more I could say for Porter here, man. I'm a fan of his. I would like to see him win. I'm always kind of rooting for him, but I'm not rooting for him in this fight because I like Braxton. But and then it's going to be a tough one for him, man. So, and he's taking on Braxton Smith. He is 33 years old. He's 5'11". We don't have a reach on him yet. And he is 5-1, and this is going to be his UFC debut. So I've been talking to Braxton on Instagram. He's a really nice guy. I'm going to be doing an interview with him at some point. But through the course of us talking, we found out we had a few more things in common. He lives in Austin, I believe. But there's 3 things in life that I like, man: combat sports, horror movies, and fishing. And it turns out he's a big horror movie fan. And he has a horror movie podcast, the Coming Soon podcast, so check that out. And I'm hoping to get my horror podcast going. That was what I was originally supposed to do, but haven't got it going yet because I can't talk about horror movies by myself. But yeah, he's a pretty cool guy, a really nice guy, man. He's a former pro football player, so he's in really good shape. He's a big, thick guy. Not the tallest for a heavyweight, but he's definitely a big, strong guy, man. You could tell if you go and watch his fights. He was fighting over in Peak Fighting Championship, that's a relatively new organization down here in Texas. They've only been around for maybe like a year or two, and most of his fights have been there, and 5 knockouts in a row. I mean, really impressive. Obviously, he's a really good athlete. He's in really good shape. He's a big, strong guy, man. So if he touches Parker Porter, he's out of there. And the only worry that I could have as far as Braxton in this fight would be just because he always gets the quick knockout. We don't know if the cardio holds up over into the 3rd round or anything, but most likely he's not going to need it because he comes out there and he goes for it. He tries to get that knockout and he don't mess around. So he's a very exciting guy to watch, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's going to do in the UFC. Next up, we got zhumagulov taking on Rafael Estevam. And Zalgas is 34 years old. He's 5'4" with a 66.5-inch reach. He is 14-8 and 1-5 in the UFC. And this guy he can't get it going, man. He's a really good fighter. Big fan of his, and my heart goes out to him because he's had nothing but tough fights in the UFC, and he's been at the wrong end of a couple decisions that he should have had go his way. And if you look at his record, he fought Amir Albazi in his that's not his debut. Let's look at his debut. I think he even had a hard fight in his debut. So his debut was against Rolian Paiva, his UFC debut. It's not an easy fight. Amir Albazi was after that, and then he beat Jerome Rivera very quickly. And then he fought Manel Cape. That's not an easy fight. Nobody wants to fight Manel Cape right now. Everybody's running for him. Then he fought Jeff Molina, who's a very talented fighter, and that was a close split decision. And even Jeff, when they were reading out the decision, put his arms down because he thought that he lost, and they ended up giving the decision to Molina. So, and then he fought Charles Johnson, and I believe he won that fight. I mean, I thought he clearly won the first 2 rounds. He out-volumed. He got the takedowns. I mean, he put on a good performance, man. And I don't know why the judges really didn't give that to him, but so and he's got he's pretty talented, man. He's got great striking, pretty good wrestling, very fast, puts out a lot of volume. He's fought the better competition out of these 2 guys by like tenfold. He was originally supposed to fight Nate Maness this time out, and I was definitely riding with him there for sure. And I was real happy for him because I felt like that was a very winnable fight for him. And this is going to be a little bit tougher match for him. He's going to be taking on Rafael Estevam. He is 36 years old, 5'8" with a 69-inch reach. He's 11-0, and this is going to be his UFC debut. So this guy's real exciting to watch. Most of his wins are by finish, knockouts, and submissions both. Um, he's obviously well rounded. He's going to have a 1 inch reach advantage here. Real good cardio. Pushes a tough pace on guys. He's a good size for the weight class as well. And in his fight on the Contender Series, he showed good submission defense, good ground and pound. He throws hard elbows from top position. It's a very good grappler. And I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this man, but I'm picking Zhalgas. Because he's fought the better competition and he's due for a win, and he deserves a win. But I'll probably be wrong. I know Estevam's a -170 favorite right now. I know everybody's going with him. But Zhalgas's record doesn't really do him justice, until you look into it. But I need to see more out of Rafael before I just jump on the bandwagon with everybody else. I know he's 11-0. I know he's good, and but I got to see him beat somebody tough. So I'm going to be taking Zhalgas to get the win. Next up, we got Ikram Aliskerov taking on Phil Hawes. And Aliskerov is 30 years old. He is 6 foot tall with a 76-inch reach. He's 13-1, and this is going to be his UFC debut. So we got a guy here who's trained with Khabib. He's a very talented wrestler. He's got great submissions. His only loss is to Khamzat Chimaev, and there's no shame there, obviously. Seems to be very well rounded. Has a lot of finishes on his record. He's fought a lot of tough guys over in Brave FC. He made it look easy in the Contender Series as well. I don't have anything negative to say about this guy. Phil Hawes is going to be a pretty good test for him, though. And he's taking on Phil Hawes. Phil Hawes is 34 years old, 6 foot tall with a 77.5-inch reach. He's 12-4 and 4-2 in the UFC. So, I got a mixed bag of thoughts when it comes to Phil. He's a really good fighter, absolutely a really good fighter. He's a very good wrestler, and according to UFC.com, he has 100% takedown defense. He has big power. His striking's come a long way. It looked amazing in the Duran Win fight. He was landing all those elbows. He just beat the crap out of Duran Win. He looked good against Chris Curtis until he got caught as well. He was out voluming Chris and landing some good shots. And it's just his chin, man. That's the only thing that worries me about him. I would, ride with him all day here, but he's been knocked out several times, and he's very explosive. He puts out a lot of volume. He had that unfortunate knee injury in his last fight, and his corner probably should have stepped in and called that fight, because that injured knee led him to getting knocked out very bad because he wasn't able to get away, from the punches and defend himself properly. But I'll be very impressed if Aliskerov gets the takedowns on Hawes. Hawes is going to have the striking advantage for sure. And honestly, I really do want to take a shot on Hawes, but I just can't, with the chin and how many times he's been knocked out like that. I hope Hawes wins. I'm rooting for him. If Hawes stuffs the takedowns, he could totally win this fight. But I'm going to take Aliskerov to get the win. I'm going to say he wins by knockout. Round 2. Next up, we got Joseph Holmes taking on Claudio Ribeiro. And Joseph Holmes is 27 years old, fighting out of Texas. He's 6'4" with an 80-inch reach. He's 8-3 and 1-2 in the UFC. And Holmes is a tall, rangy guy for the division. His striking isn't horrible, but he showed to have some holes in his game. Mainly his grappling and takedown defense and submission defense have been his problems as of late that we've seen. Some of the things he's definitely probably been working on. He's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage in this spot. But, I've gone back and watched a lot of his fights, but I don't see a lot of places where I feel he's going to have the advantage in this matchup. He's a big guy. He's always live for a knockout. He's got a super long reach. So there's always a chance that he could get the win. And, I'll be rooting for him. But, one thing also that he does that's very good, since he's so tall, he brings that knee up the middle. That's what he caught, what was that guy's name? He caught Alan Amadowski with that knee straight up the middle, because he's so tall. He really has good reach with his leg, and he laid that dude out with that. So you watch out for that in this fight. That could serve him well if he gets it. He's taking on Claudio Ribeiro. He is 30 years old. He's 6'1" with a 77-inch reach. He's 10-3 and 0-1 in the UFC. So all of Claudio's wins are by finish. He had a really tough debut against Abdul Alissan. He got knocked out there, but that dude hits really hard. It happens. Alissan's a very talented striker. He has pretty good Muay Thai, good calf kicks, counters well, pretty good takedown defense. Not a whole lot else to say on that. I think he's better everywhere the fight goes here, and I think he's going to win by round 2 knockout. Next up, we got Drew Dober taking on Matt Frevola. This is going to be a really exciting fight. Drew Dober is, he's one of my favorites, man. I love watching Drew Dober fight, and Frevola is amazing too. He's 34 years old, 5'8" with a 70-inch reach. He's 26-11 and 12-7-1, no contest in the UFC. And Drew is one of my favorite fighters. Like I said, excellent Muay Thai, big power in his hands. And, if you didn't believe it before, him knocking out Bobby Green proved it. Green hasn't been knocked out in a long time. He's fought some killers, too. And Dober's got great calf kicks. He pushes a really good pace. His striking defense could be a little bit better. He does get hit a lot sometimes, but he's got that giant chin. And even though he might get rocked, he usually still survives and comes back to get the win. He's been training since he was 14 years old. He was a 2-time amateur Muay Thai world champion. His takedown defense could be better as well, but he scrambles up to his feet pretty quickly when he does get taken down, unless it's like against Islam Makhachev. He's super tough, very respectful. He doesn't do the whole shit talking stuff. He has a very nasty left hand to the body. It hurts guys a lot with that. You see him do that to Rafael. Is it Alves? Yeah, Rafael Alves is what he got him with. And it's going to be fight of the night, most likely, man. This is a really good fight, good matchmaking. He's going to be taking on Matt Frevola. He is 32 years old. He's 5'9" with a 71-inch reach. He's 10-3-1 and 4-3-1 in the UFC. I have my doubts about Matt at first, but he's proven to be a really tough, exciting fighter. He's coming off 2 first-round finishes. He has good wrestling background. Knockout power in both hands. He can be pretty wild at times. He's always live for a knockout. And I think Frevola will have the speed advantage, at least for the first round. They both have big power. Dober will probably have a striking advantage. All his kicks, and shots to the body could serve him well in this fight. It's slow Frevola down. Frevola may be able to get Dober down, though. And I think Dober has the better cardio. This is a risky fight. I wouldn't put any money on it, but I'm taking Dober to win by 3rd round knockout. I think Frevola might be getting a little too into the first round finishes, because in his like the Valdez fight, he went out there and he threw everything he possibly could if he had made it out of that round, he probably wouldn't have been able to continue. He was so exhausted from beating that dude up. And when you get in the habit of getting those first round knockouts like that, you gotta remember, man. If they don't go away, you're gonna have to pace yourself a little bit. So sometimes I worry that might come into play with him, but I have a feeling he might push the takedowns in the beginning of this fight, and it might take a round for Dober to get going and really start putting his work in. But I think Dober's going to get the win here. Next up, we got Devin Clark taking on Kennedy Nzechukwu. And Devin Clark is 33 years old. He's 6 foot tall with a 75-inch reach. He's 14-7 and 8-7 in the UFC. So he's had a pretty long career in the UFC. Most of his career looks like it's been in the UFC. So he's been around a long time, and he's got a lot of submission losses on his record in the UFC. He's a tough guy, though, and he can really wear on guys and come on late in the fight. He looked much improved in his last win over Don Jung, and he was a big underdog in that fight too. And Clark showed that he'd been working on his grappling. He does have heavy hands, good knees, elbows. The best thing about him is his cardio, really, and ability to push a good pace late into the fight. So that's kind of something that these guys have in common, man. Kennedy Nzechukwu is 30 years old. 6'5" with an 83-inch reach. He's 11-3 and 5-3 in the UFC. And I'm a big fan of Kennedy's. Why? Because he often comes out and gets the shit kicked out of him for the first round, and then he comes back and gets the finish. He's a really big guy for light heavyweight. He's got a good. He's going to have an 8-inch reach advantage here. He has a win over Carlos Olberg, which looks pretty good in hindsight. You know, Olberg's on a tear right now, and he's a very good kickboxer. You know, he has good wrestling. He's very well rounded for sure. And you know, only bad thing I can say is he's a slow starter. You know, he's got really heavy hands, great cardio, and I expect Kennedy to be better. You know, everywhere the fight goes here. But it's a good live betting opportunity as well. You know, Clark may have a good first round, but I expect Kennedy to get the KO in round 2 or 3. Next up, we got Marina Rodriguez taking on Virna Jandiroba. Marina Rodriguez she's 36 years old, 5'6" with a 65-inch reach. She's 16-2-2 and 6-2-2 in the UFC. Marina's very good. She's been at the top of the division for a while now. She's only lost to really good competition. She has pretty good striking, good power. She has a few wins by finish in the UFC. Pretty well rounded. She's going to have a 1-inch reach advantage here, and she will be the better striker in this fight. She has very fast hands. She throws a ton of volume, throws a lot of kicks. Yes, she has a Muay Thai foundation, and she has struggled with really good grapplers at times, and she's coming off her first knockout loss in her career, so you never know how that's going to affect someone, so take that into consideration if you're planning on putting money on this fight. My advice is, for the most part, try to stay away from the women's bets. There's very few that I put money on. Lucinda is one of them, though. And Rodriguez is taking on Virna Jandiroba. She's 34 years old, 5'3" with a 64-inch reach. She's 18-3 and 4-3 in the UFC. And yeah, Virna is a really good grappler, great jiu-jitsu. Striking could be better, but that's why she relies on her takedowns to get the wins. She has 13 submission wins on her record. She's strong and powerful for sure, and she's definitely got a shot in this fight because her strength, I feel like, is Rodriguez's weakness. But I've been on a women's underdog kick here lately, mainly because I rarely put money on them, and here lately the underdogs have been coming through. You know, it doesn't matter how it looks on paper sometimes, you know, and on tape. But I'm still going to go with Rodriguez here to get the win by decision, mainly because, you know, if you go back and watch like the Jandiroba Angela Hill fight, you know, her last fight, it was almost a year ago now. You know, she was running forward and just kind of running into punches and stuff real bad and not moving her head and following Angela Hill, you know, letting Angela Hill lead her into punches. You know, I know she still got the win because she got the takedowns, but with someone as slick as Rodriguez on the feet, if she can't get the takedown, she's going to get busted up for 3 rounds. So taking Rodriguez to get the win by decision. Next up, we got Daniel Santos taking on Johnny Munoz Jr. And Daniel Santos is 28 years old. He is 5'7" with a 67-inch reach. He's 10-2 and 1-1 in the UFC. And Daniel beat a really tough guy that I was pretty high on in John Castaneda, his last fight. And lots of finishes on his record, both sub and KO. And you know, he got dropped quite a few times in his last fight, and you know, he came through it and got the win. But you know, he did miss weight that time, and that could play a factor into why, you know, he was getting rocked like that. He ended up missing weight by like 3 pounds, so that could be part of it. He does get taken down a lot, but he scrambles to his feet very well. He throws good combinations, and he can carry his power over with him, you know, later into the fight, into the 3rd round. He has good uppercuts in the clinch, very good cardio, trains with Charles Oliveira and all those guys, so he's got a good camp. He has good submission defense. He's never been submitted, and this should be a fun fight, man. He's very exciting to watch. And he's taking on Johnny Munoz Jr. He is 30 years old, 5'9" with a 71-inch reach. He's 12-2 and 2-2 in the UFC. And Munoz has a good jiu-jitsu, lots of submissions on his record. He was undefeated before he came to the UFC. Has pretty good striking, uses his push kicks very well. He kind of uses them like a jab, and he also uses his jab very well. Doesn't seem to have a whole lot of power in his hands, but he puts out good volume, you know, to make up for it. And he throws good straight punches for the most part. Not a lot of wild stuff. He's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage here. And, you know, I think he's going to improve further, you know, into his career. He'll look better, and hasn't had any really credible wins yet. In my opinion, the guys he's beat that so far have not won a fight in the UFC, any of them, which has only been a couple. But if he wins this fight, I'll start riding with him. But I'm taking Santos to get the win. As long as Santos is able to be on weight, not have a bad weight cut, I think he'll be able to pull this fight through. Munoz might have a good first round, but I think Santos will take over late. So I'm going to say Santos by decision. Next up, we got Khaos Williams taking on Rolando Bedoya. And Khaos Williams is 29 years old. He's 6 foot tall with a 77-inch reach. He's 13-3 and 4-2 in the UFC. Khaos is a scary guy. He has a lot of power. He came into the UFC with 2 quick knockouts. Let's look at his record real quick. So he came into the UFC, and his first fight, he knocked out Alex Morono in 30 seconds. And his next fight, he knocked out Abdul Aliskerov in 30 seconds. And then he had a kind of boring fight with Michel Pereira. And then he beat Matthew Semmelsberger by decision. And then he knocked out Miguel Baeza in the 3rd round before losing his last fight to Randy Brown. It was a split decision, but I actually thought it was pretty clear for Randy Brown, that fight. He did have his moments in it, though. He did rock Brown in the 1st round, I think, or maybe it was the 3rd round. But where was I at? So, yeah, he got out-volumed by Randy, and Randy had the reach and the speed on him. Khaos had his moments in that fight, like I said, but it was probably his first time dealing with somebody with that long of a reach and, to have the height advantage on him like that. He has 7 knockout wins, and 6 of those were first-round finishes. He has never tried to take anybody down in the UFC yet. He's a striker with good boxing. He's exciting to watch. He shows 75% takedown defense, but he hasn't fought any really talented wrestlers yet. And he's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage in this fight. So he's taking on Rolando Bedoya. He is 5'11". We don't have his age or his. He's 5'11" with a 75-inch reach. He's 14-1, and this is going to be his UFC debut. And he seems like a pretty good, well-rounded prospect. Tons of success on the regional scene. He has a 50-50 decision to finish win ratio, and I'm going to go ahead and make it, this short and sweet. And I think it's just a little too much for Ronaldo too soon, I think. And I think he's going to have success in the UFC for sure. I just think this is a tough fight for him to jump in on, probably on short notice. So I'm going to take Khaos Williams to win by round 1 KO. Next up, we got movsar Evloev taking on Bryce Mitchell. And Movsar is 29 years old. He's 5'7" with a 72.5-inch reach. He's 16-0 and 6-0 in the UFC. Movsar has a lot of finishes. He had a lot of finishes on his record before the UFC, and none since. He's better than well-rounded. He's a very talented grappler, very good at staying out of harm's way and making people fight his fight. Movsar will have a 2.5-inch reach advantage in the spot. He's got a good jab, pretty good head movement, good front kicks up the middle. Also throws that jumping knee up the middle really well, and he sets it up very well. It's not telegraphed. Great takedowns. It's very hard to get him off you once he's got you down. He makes good reads. You'll see, his counters getting better and better, throughout the fight as he picks up on what his opponent is doing. He's got great cardio. He's the real deal, man. It's going to take somebody really tough to beat this guy. And he's taking on Bryce Mitchell. He is 28 years old, 5'10" with a 70-inch reach. He is 15-1 and 6-1 in the UFC. And, I like Bryce. I think he's a cool guy. I think he's, a good wrestler. He's good at getting the takedowns, has good jiu-jitsu. He only has 1 win in the UFC by finish, and that was a twister over Matt Sales, which the twister is super cool that he was able to pull that off. But the opponent, not such a big deal, but as far as the level of competition. And I feel as if up to the Topuria fight, he had a lot of favorable matchups for him, that he would definitely have his, wrestling advantage. His striking is good when he has guys worried about the takedowns. They aren't defending properly with the striking defense because they're so worried about the takedown. And, if he can't get the takedowns, he's in trouble on the feet usually. And Unfortunately, even though I would like to see Bryce win this fight, I think Movsar will be better everywhere the fight goes. And, I think this might be Movsar's first finish in the UFC. So I'm gonna take Movsar to get the win by TKO due to ground and pound in round 2. Next up, we got Gracie taking on Charles Jourdain. And Gracie is 34 years old. He is 5'9" with a 70-inch reach. He's 5-1 and 1-1 in the UFC. So obviously he's a Gracie. He's a very good jiu-jitsu guy, a good grappler. Has a boxing background supposedly, but his striking isn't very good. Hasn't fought since October 2019 either, so that's something to think about. He got beat by Cub Swanson in his last fight over 3 rounds. He doesn't have very good striking defense. He's going to have like a 1-inch reach advantage here, but he can't compete on the feet with Jourdain at all. He kind of just rushes in and just tries to initiate a clinch at any cost. Just because that's how he gets. Because he doesn't really have good takedowns. He'll pull guard before you see him shooting a takedown or something like that, because he just doesn't have a wrestling background. Which that can be a very bad idea in the sport of MMA. It's good in the jiu-jitsu competitions, but bad idea against UFC fighters. And he's taking on Charles Jourdain. He's 27 years old, 5'9" with a 69-inch reach. He's 13-6-1 and 4-5-1 in the UFC. And I'm a big fan of Jourdain's. He's exciting to watch, very well-rounded, which is something that Kron, quite frankly, isn't. But Charles has really good explosiveness, a wide variety of strikes. I really like his striking, and he pushes a real tough pace on guys. I thought he won the Shane Burgos fight, and Nathaniel Wood was a really tough guy, so I don't hold that loss against him too much. Charles has really good volume, great combinations, good fast kicks to all levels. He really comes on strong late in the fight. We've seen him in the 3rd round, several times screaming and just throwing everything he has at guys. And I think Charles will get a KO here, and probably in round 2 or 3. I think Kron's going to walk right into a big shot. And next up, we got Jessica Andrade taking on Xiaonan. I'm not sure if I'm saying her first name right, so I'm just going to call her Jan. Jessica Andrade is 31 years old. She's 5'1" with a 62-inch reach. She's 24-10 and 15-8 in the UFC. The majority of her career has been in the UFC, so she's a very powerful woman. She hits like a man. She has a really good Muay Thai, good calf kicks, good submissions. It was crazy how she subbed Amanda Lemos with the standing arm triangle like that, very quick. She had a loss to Erin Blanchfield, her last time out, who's a very good grappler. She destroyed Lauren Murphy right before that over 3 rounds, just beat her senseless. And Andrade has mostly only lost to champions, except for Blanchfield, who's probably a super champion, or a future champion, sorry. And I expect her to have the striking at power advantage in this fight. And she's taking on Jan, who is 33 years old, 5'5" with a 63-inch reach, and she's going to have a 1-inch reach advantage. She is 16-3 and 7-2 in the UFC. So yeah, she'll have the height and reach advantage in this fight. She's pretty good, has pretty decent striking, no finishes in the UFC yet. She'll have to get the takedowns, in my opinion, to win this fight. She throws a lot of side kicks, which is good. She uses it like a jab. She throws a lot of volume, and she could possibly use her push kicks to keep Andrade at bay and land from the outside. But I think Andrade eventually is going to find her way through and land a big shot. So I'm picking Andrade, and I wouldn't put money on this fight, but I'm gonna pick her to win by knockout, round 2. Next up, we got the co-main event: Belal Muhammad versus Gilbert Burns. And give me a sec. Belal Muhammad is 34 years old, 5'11" with a 72-inch reach. He is 22-3 and 13-3-1 in the UFC. So I'm not a fan of Belal. He's a good fighter. His record is great in the UFC. I was impressed with him winning his last fight against Sean Brady the way he did. But Brady does have kind of bad cardio, so that's something he needs to work on. I'm sure it's something that Brady's gone back to work on, and I think his nose was broken in that fight, which probably further messed up his breathing. So he gassed out really bad, and Bilal was able to get the finish on him. Bilal normally isn't a very exciting fighter to watch. He has excellent cardio. He pushes a very tough pace. He gets guys that can't wrestle down and holds them down the entire fight. His striking has looked a lot better, lately. But the rumor is that Bilal hasn't, had a full camp for this, which is why Burns, wouldn't take it at catch weight and made sure it was 5 rounds as well. Bilal's going to have a 1-inch reach advantage here, and he's taking on Gilbert Burns. He is 36 years old, 5'10", with a 71-inch reach. He's 22-5 and 15-5 in the UFC. So the difference between these two guys' records is Burns is basically down to fight anybody, anytime, and he's game against anybody. He fought Khamzat Chimaev when nobody else would, and he could have won that fight if it had been different judges, on a different night, because it was a very close fight. Burns stays active. He's always competing in grappling competitions. He has really good jiu-jitsu, and he's going to have the jiu-jitsu advantage in this fight for sure. Burns will have the striking advantage here as well, and I do believe the power advantage on the feet. The only thing Bilal might have going for him here is that he may be able to get those takedowns, but I'm not totally sure he can. And, normally I would say Bilal's cardio would be an advantage for him, but if he really is jumping in on not much of a camp, and, he may not have that advantage either. So I'm taking Burns to win this fight. I think he's going to eventually catch Bilal with that powerful left hand and put him away and probably drop him and submit him probably in, round 4 or 5, one of the late rounds. Now we got the co-main event. Aljamain Sterling taking on Henry Cejudo. And Aljamain Sterling is 33 years old, 5'7", with a 71-inch reach. He is 22-3 and 14-3 in the UFC. So this is a tricky one for me because, although I respect these guys and their accomplishments in the sport, especially Cejudo, I really don't like either of these guys. I more so hate Sterling for one, having my middle name as a last name, and 2, for how he won the title to begin with, and 3, for acting like a hard ass for beating a guy whose arm was out of the socket when he fought TJ Dillashaw. But whatever. And all that aside, he's a really good wrestler, very good at taking the back, usually gets the takedowns, has great jiu-jitsu, trains under Matt Serra, one of my favorite fighters from back in the day. His striking's looked a lot better. In my opinion, the only reason this fight is happening is because Sterling refuses to fight his friend Merab, which I do get. You don't want to fight your friend, but this is a sport, and it's people's job to try and get that belt. And there's no reason to hold up the rest of the division because you won't fight your friend, because you'll lose. But Sterling will have a 3.5-inch reach advantage in this spot, and a big height advantage as well. And he's taking on Henry Cejudo. He is 36 years old, 5'4", with a 67.5-inch reach. He is 16-2 and 10-2 in the UFC. And Henry's one of the greatest fighters to ever compete in this sport. He's accomplished a lot. His only legitimate loss really was to Demetrius Johnson, who's possibly the greatest of all time. So no shame there. And Henry is a really good explosive wrestler, Olympic gold medalist. He's very fast. He has big power. He throws very hard leg kicks, very good scrambles, great takedowns and takedown defense. The only thing I can say against him is he's been, retired and hasn't fought since 2020, May 2020. And, he'll have the striking advantage here. With these two guys being such good wrestlers, I don't know if they will be able to get each other down. I want Cejudo to win, and if he hadn't been out this long, I would pick him all day. But with him being out, so long at such a size disadvantage, there's a lot of questions, because he's going to be able to go the 5 rounds, how's he going to look? I'm sure he stayed busy. I know he's constantly training guys and coaching guys and everything else. I'm sure he's been training, this whole time. I still haven't quite decided who I'm going to be picking on this, man. I really want to go with Cejudo, but for some reason my gut's telling me to go with Sterling, but I'm going to go with Cejudo, man. I think he's like a minus 120, or it's almost even money right now, so it's not a bad deal either side on this one. Whoever you decide to go with. I don't think that's a bad price on either of them, so whichever way you want to go, it's good value for you. And that's all my picks. As far as bets go, uh, I try to keep it somewhat simple. Trying to get away from having all these shitload of plays on every card, but somehow it always still ends up happening. But I got a Charles Jourdain, movsar evloev, 2-man parlay. It's plus 105, and then I got a what else did I have? Oh, I got a play on Claudio Ribeiro at minus 190, and got a unit on each of those. And then I took my see, I got another parlay that's plus 275. That's Jourdain, Evloev, Khaos, and Ribeiro. And then I added Burns and aliskerov to that, and that's a plus 750. And I don't have very much on the plus 275 and the plus 750. Not very big plays at all. So if it doesn't hit, not a big deal. What's more important is these first two plays. And I don't know if I'm gonna have any prop bets this week. I'm still thinking about setting up a Patreon for, just for prop bets and prize picks bets, because I usually have prize picks bets that hit every week, and I don't want to give them out, for free, because basically then I'm sponsoring prize picks for free, and they should be paying me if I'm going to do that. So, yeah, I'm not gonna be doing that. And what else? What else do I got? Yeah, I guess that's it for me, man. Don't forget I'm doing the contest for one of my signed prints. I got a signed Demetrius Johnson, a Donald Cerrone, and a Holly Holm, or I have a signed UFC glove of Juliana Miller from the Tough Show, and I'll let whoever wins that pick which one of those they want. But don't forget, we're just going to do the comments on this video, and I'll turn them off the day of the fight, and yeah, I'll go through them after that, and we'll figure out who won, and I'll get it to you, man. We'll see who won first, anyway. I'm gonna try and do contests as often as I can. I can't afford to do the autograph UFC prints. I ain't got it like that, but I'll give one away, and then I'll find other things, to put up for people to win or whatever. But yeah, that's it for me, man. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Have a good one.